calling all stations. Clear the air lanes, clear all air lanes for the big broadcast.
Alright people, what's going on? It's the Sons of Serizawa podcast, episode 80. We've hit another 10 episode landmark. It's fun to celebrate these every 10 episodes because they come up so rarely with this show. We struggle to reach 10 episodes because we only do it every 2 weeks and there's 4 of us and it's sometimes a struggle to get us together. But who are those 4 people that I've been able to assemble for all of those episodes regularly lately? David Joshua Hernandez, aka Gorzard, internet pirate extraordinaire.
I should have asked you if you offered a 401k when I joined SOS.
I didn't pay you at all. Why the fuck did you think I would offer you a 401k? You're lucky I didn't offer you, like, death if you ever left or reveal our secrets. Like, there are things about this show, like episode 16, that we can never discuss thereafter, you know? So, you might have to die if you ever leave the show.
But Bill, do we have dental?
No. Asks
we don't even have.
Yes, it loathes Dylan McCandless, Super DM64, also here.
I'm aghast. I might have to quit the show now. I didn't know we didn't have dental. You know, that's kind of.
You're not going to quit this show. This is your last chance to communicate on the internet.
Unfortunately, we all have pre-existing conditions that prevent us from getting any sort of care whatsoever.
We may have to join the writer's strike.
The pre-existing condition.
Podcasters.
The pre-existing condition that is Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaish Noir, everyone.
Speaking of pre-existing conditions, it's been 2 days since my 16-kilometer marathon, and my legs are still in pain.
Wow, why did you do that? Explain to the... So
I don't know. My friends from Gifu University, they're like, hey, want to do this thing? I said, sure, that sounds like something new and interesting. I'll do it.
Well, maybe you're just too damn open-minded like Dylan over here.
See, that's what happened. Andres has these new, like, friends in Japan, and they're super health conscious.
Dylan uses the term friends with such, like, scathing, like, friends.
He has these friends in Japan, and they're super health conscious, and he gets pulled into doing things like, you know, running marathons.
He gets all these silly ideas in his head about freedom and new things.
But then when he comes back and talks to his slovenly American friends, we're like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like you ran? Like,
why aren't you up in arms? Why aren't you suing these people who accosted you in this way?"
I don't have the energy. I can't. I can't physically go up to them and sue them anymore.
You know, it's not like a fight.
I could
you
barely
just have to call your lawyer. Like, you don't have to actually go up to them and be like, "I'm suing you." It's like a duel.
Do you know how far away the phone is right now, Bill?
You're on it right now, son of a bitch. You're fucking talking to us.
It took all my energy just to crouch down and sit down near my desk.
Are you laying on the floor right now like a fucking bear rug? Just
I have like a tiny. I have a like nice little coffee table set up to where I can sit on the floor and on a pillow and have my laptop on the coffee table and do this thing comfortably.
You've really embraced the whole Japanese lifestyle, man. You're fucking. You never. Just
except I refuse to sit on my chair. I refuse to sit on my legs. I will never do that though. That is uncomfortable as fuck.
But why not
so does this mean that Andres has fulfilled his meaning as a weeaboo?
Fuck you, David. I'm not a weeaboo.
Yeah, but Andres, if you abandon the concept of sitting in a chair, which is one of the things that I think humanity has achieved most greatly in life, in the entire history of their species, and you've abandoned that, I think maybe you are a weeaboo, and that's maybe a problem.
Yep. Like Andres, you need to teach the Japanese chair sitting before the Japanese apes learn it. At that point,
Because if they learn it, they will take over and they will kick them out of the cities.
But that's the problem. Their tables are too short.
That's okay.
They
Raise
at some
the
point in
tables.
Japanese history, they're like, "Oh, we made our tables too short. What do? We'll sit on pillows, I guess. All right."
That's where the apes will come in. They'll hold your drinks for you, and then you'll be fine until they revolt. So you'll be good for like 10 years. So.
Andres, you need to Americanize the rest of Japan because we already got Hideo Kojima and Ryuhei Kitamura.
Hideo Kojima and Ryuhei Kitamura, they are outcasts of their society, okay? No one's going to listen to them, and they're certainly not going to listen to a goddamn foreigner like me, because that is Japan in a nutshell. Change is bad because it's different and scary.
Andres Perez, Hideo Kojima, and Ryuhei Kitamura all hang out in a seedy bar in Tokyo every week, talking about how nobody likes them and how the country kind of sucks, but they're all stuck here or whatever, bitching and moaning.
I feel
Just
I'm
like
the only-
Americans.
I feel like since I'm the Ryuhei Kitamura fanboy here, I'm the one that's gonna have to comfort.
I've seen
Ryuhei
two
Kitamura.
of his movies, and I like both of them, so I don't know what to say. So speaking of stuff that we like, so this is going to be kind of a more recently structured SOS episode. We're going to do some news at the top, review something at the back end. But Andres, you have some shit that we may or may not care about, don't you?
Right, yes I do.
What may or may we not care about this week?
Let's see. Do you or do you not care about the impact of the recent 2017 Power Rangers movie?
Not even remotely.
I saw it twice, so sure.
Well, I guess to the rest of the world, they didn't really care about this movie since we have our box office results for the Saban's Power Rangers, which premiered
Was I
in,
the
I
only one who
believe,
saw it twice?
No, I
maybe
saw it
because the
twice.
movie.
I saw it
Twice,
I
but
saw
one
it
of those
twice
times was
first.
illegal.
So the movie, which cost roughly about $100 million, only made about.
Do you have that
I wanna
much
say-
money, Andres? Do you have that much money in your bank account right now?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say you should send it to Saban just so they have some, just to be a nice guy. Because you're the nice guy on our team. No, you're the heart. It's just like just like Ray is the heart of the Ghostbusters. You're the heart of the SOS. So, you'd be good enough to do that, wouldn't you?
Well, lately Andres has been turning to the dark side.
I have
He's
noticed
true.
that he's been a bit angrier lately. Like somebody will say something, he'll be like, "Shut the fuck up," and I'm like, "Ooh."
Guys,
Andres
you know
is
what it is.
becoming the Hulk
You know
now.
what it is, right? You know what it is, right? When we met Andres, he was a fucking lifeguard, and now he's a teacher.
Yeah, oh, that's true. That's right. He used to save lives. Now he ruins them in a classroom before they have the chance to be
I
saved.
blinded them with science.
When we met Andres, he was but a learner. Now he is the master.
So
He has sort of taken over the show, hasn't he? He mostly decides the structure every week. He's like, how
it's like this show wouldn't be around if I weren't here. This show would be nothing without me.
He's just like,
By the way,
it'd be Bill talking about weird monster shit, and sometimes he would review something vaguely like that. That's what this show would be, and I'm just like, you're not wrong, but wow, I didn't know that you would ever make me feel so like down about that. Thanks, Andres. Anyway.
Andre,
Anyways,
At what point do we change the title of this segment to "Shit You Don't Care About" with Andres Perez?
Yeah. I thought it was that from the beginning. All right, so
fuck you guys.
no, we're mostly kidding. So
I know.
So what happened?
Okay. Exactly. That's it. And that's the thing. We care so little. Like just like the rest of the world did not care about Power Rangers.
Right, okay. No. I liked it a lot. No, I really did. I remember what we're talking about now.
Just for the record, we all liked the movie.
I did.
Because this movie has a lot, ever since like day one, this movie has a lot of hardcore defenders. It's like, fuck you for saying bad things about the movie.
I'm not one of them. I did a video where I was like, Power Rangers 2017, the worst part, because I was trying to get those people to watch it and attack me.
Yeah.
No, I think like one person did, and I was like, okay.
My job here is done.
I know. I wanted more than one. I wanted like a whole army. But I think that reflects the article you're discussing that nobody really cared.
But
Bill
yeah,
has lost the ability to bait trolls.
Here's the thing. So the movie only made $84 million almost close to $85 million in domestic-wise alone. So it pretty much bombed in America. Around the world,
that's not
it made...
good for a movie like that.
Yeah, around the world, though, it made roughly $50 million everywhere else. So it was also a bomb. So it made roughly about $135 million. And in order for a movie to be considered a technical success, because this is how the Hollywood business works, it needs to make twice its budget, possibly 2.5 times its budget when you factor in all the money put into the marketing, because
this movie
that
looked
never
pretty
gets
expensive too.
And if you think about all the deals it made, all the branding, all the merchandising, all the toys,
all the Krispy Kreme.
All the Krispy Kremes, all the badly produced, the cheap toys. I saw those toys in person.
Me too.
Outside of the non-transforming Megazord, everything else looked cheap as shit. Especially the combining version of the movie Megazord. It's hollow. It's unpainted.
Yeah, but all modern toys based on movies look like garbage. You ever seen like
not the Transformers? The Transformers always look great for the most part.
Have you ever seen the Marvel DC toys? Like they look awful.
I guess so.
We're not talking about the Tamashii Studios or no, not Tamashii Studios.
No, not the Japanese.
Yeah, nothing
super
like that.
toys.
Like nothing like that. Like we're talking about like cheap American companies being like, "What's that new motion picture coming out? Power Rangers? Oh, all right. I'll put some plastic together that vaguely looks like something from that movie." That's what we have here. And the masks, I took Matt to like Target like before I took him to see it. And we were like playing around with the masks and shit, and yeah, they're super cheap. All of it was super cheap. But when we went to the theater, I went to see it twice. One time to review it for the show, and then I took Matt to see it once because he wanted to see it. And both times there were other people in the theater. Like I expected to be alone based on the reaction that you were fucking talking about so much on social media and to me. So I expected to be alone in there, but I wasn't. There were kids and teenagers and people who are also seeing it later, because I saw it like the week after, so people seeing it later. I didn't expect that, so I thought that it was kind of going to do better, and that it was going to be kind of like, oh, it actually put together a decent amount over a longer period, but it didn't happen.
No,
it didn't happen.
Critically, it was received well enough, but
that was the interesting thing.
It was very mixed all across the board. Like every single kind of opinion you can possibly have was the result amongst critics and fans. There are people who really liked it, people thought it was okay, people who were disappointed, and people who fucking hated it. It's just like all across the board. There was never like one consistent thing other than it was better than we thought it would be. That seems to be the general consensus among everybody, like collectively.
That's fair.
You know what part of it is? People are starting to get franchise fatigue. There was an article recently talking about that Hollywood was projecting like a really bad box office season because like people are getting fucking tired of all the fucking franchises and the adaptations and the remakes and the bullshit.
That kind of happened last year as well. All those movies were mostly a disappointment with the exception of the Marvel and Disney movies.
Yeah, like those are usually pretty self-sustaining these days.
Like especially nowadays, like today. Or last year, The Jungle Book and Captain America: Civil War were like big, huge hits.
Yeah, I mean,
Cap
was number one until Rogue One came out.
Yeah, and this year, history repeats itself with Beauty and the Beast being a huge success, and it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is on its way.
Oh yeah, that's going to make plenty of money, no problem.
Yeah, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so everybody was hoping that China would save this movie. It'll make up, because, it's an Asian property, so maybe the Asians will like it. And
that was sort of my assumption as well. Was not my assumption, but I was like, Pacific Rim was saved by the Chinese release. This has a big robot at the end.
And it made about $3.2 or $3.5 million this opening weekend, so almost nobody saw it because everyone instead went to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, well, I think here's what killed Power Rangers ultimately. It came out at a bad time, but they probably didn't think it was going to be a bad time when they were going into production.
I think they relied too hard on the power of nostalgia.
Yes.
But I guess it just goes to show that 90s nostalgia isn't that profitable.
Well, again, man, I think that they just marketed it badly because it didn't look good. That was the other thing.
Right.
It didn't look good.
Well, like, at least amongst all of us, the four of us specifically, I'm not sure about David here, but it seemed like we generally did not have good vibes from the trailer alone.
I didn't
Okay,
have
well,
any interest in
that.
actually watching it until Dylan messaged me and was like, "Hey, I liked it, so try to watch it in good conditions." And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go to see it in theaters then, because I still have the chance, and I like Power Rangers quite a bit.
And of
when
course,
I was young,
you're gonna have. And of course, you're going to have those people who are going to say, oh, you shouldn't stop judging movies based off the trailer. Well, that's what trailers are for, you idiots.
I mean, I'll think whatever I want based on what I think in the moment, so I don't really care.
Don't tell us what to do.
I don't really care when other people yell at me to do otherwise. I'm like, okay, you're just yelling a lot.
The problem with that is that many trailers are misleading. Like, look at marketing for Godzilla 2014. It sold us a different
That's
type
true.
of film.
Well, there was just downright lying going on in some of those trailers.
And Ghostbusters 2016, which turned out to be better than the trailers.
There was also some downright lying going on in those trailers.
It really?
Kind of?
What?
I disagree.
I still haven't seen Ghostbusters 2016. Bill, is it better than Ghostbusters 2?
No, not in my opinion.
What?
No, definitely not. I watched Ghostbusters.
No.
2
To be
a
fair, I have
million
not seen
times.
Ghostbusters 2 yet either.
You haven't
Ghostbusters-
seen Ghostbusters 2? Oh my god.
I've seen the first one because I thought I was going to go see the new one, so I saw the first one first.
You've never
but-
seen the original Ghostbusters?
I haven't seen it
What
until
bastard
last year.
fucking home did you grow up in? Oh my god.
I grew up in a fucking Salvadorian household, and American TV was the only thing that raised me.
How did you not see Ghostbusters on American TV? Oh, my God.
I saw
It
Ghostbusters
just
2 on
wasn't
TV
on
more
Fox
than
or
Ghostbusters
TNT.
1.
Huh?
I saw Ghostbusters 2 on TV more than Ghostbusters 1.
What do Salvadorians have a problem with Ghostbusters? Is that?
Are they more afraid of ghosts than Mexicans?
They don't like the fact that they bust them. They think that it's against,
It's against their religion.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a problem with Bill Murray or Joy.
in any capacity whatsoever. Anyway, so basically the whole point of this is that there's going to be no sequel, right? That's sort of the consensus.
Maybe, not sure, because Saban and
They were pretty committed.
They were very committed. Saban, like moments before, weeks before the movie eventually came out, they're like, we're gonna make 6-7 movies. We're gonna make lots of merchandise.
That seemed kind of vague, though, didn't it?
Yeah, and of course they teased the Green Ranger at the very end of the movie in the end credit sequence.
I kind of wish they would have just done that in this movie. Now that it looks like we're not going to get another one.
That might have been their downfall, because apparently that's why the movie King Arthur failed, because well, for one thing, no one gives a shit about in old legend.
That was
King Arthur.
That was the thing about that movie. I was like, this looks like it's probably gonna be fine, but they're insane to think that they should put this much money into something like this and that it's gonna make any money, because nobody gives a shit about this kind of thing in this day and age.
That's another example of a marketing snafu, really, because that trailer looked like dog shit.
Yeah, but the
then
movie looked fine. The trailer was bad, but the movie itself looked fine.
But a lot of the people who wound up seeing it, and I've heard actually say, positive things about it.
It's Guy Ritchie, so there's some quality there.
So it was another case where it's like, the trailer apparently didn't do this any justice. I mean, I haven't seen the movie. I have seen some people now who didn't like it, but a lot of what I've seen has been like, it's actually pretty good. So
I've heard that it does the same thing as BVS, where its main focus is to set up a cinematic universe.
Oh god!
It's trying to set up all these other.
They're gonna make a Merlin movie. They're gonna make the Lady of the Swan, the Lady of the Lake movie. They're gonna make an Excalibur origin movie.
People? What? Why
Yeah,
are they all in
no one knows who these fucking characters are.
They're gonna make a Madam Mim movie.
Who the fuck is that?
From the Disney King Art, the Sword and the Stone Disney movie.
Why weren't they all just in this movie? How is Merlin not in this movie? Isn't he?
I don't know. I didn't
watch.
watch. I don't know if Merlin is in this movie or not.
I know watch movies.
I just know there's giant elephants in the movie.
That's pretty cool.
I would totally watch a movie about the marvelous Madam Mim. Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck that is, so I probably wouldn't.
She's the villain of Sword in the Stone.
Why?
Literally,
is
just
this...
told.
Swords.
Fun
It's
fact,
like swords are overrated. It's all about guns.
That's for you.
Fun fact,
You
last
have no
Disney
idea.
movie while Walt Disney was still alive.
King Arthur versus an M16. Who wins?
Next
King
on
Arthur
Deadliest
versus Rambo.
Next on Deadliest Warrior, King Arthur versus Rambo.
King Arthur.
Who will
versus,
win? We got
King Arthur versus a musket. Who wins?
God, I miss Deadliest Warrior. That was some good shit.
That was some shit CG back in the day. Anyway,
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It failed, and it only made $3.4 million. I know there are fans out there who says that money shouldn't be of any concern, but
well,
too bad, so sad. That's not how Hollywood.
And that's why those
this is an
people don't
industry. Let's remind them. This is not charity.
And that's why those people aren't the head of a major Hollywood studio.
So a lot of fans are also thinking that maybe they might continue this not in movie form, but maybe as like a TV show or a Netflix miniseries or a comic book.
That would work. Totally. They have the costumes already. They might as well.
They'd honestly be better off doing it as a comic at this point because
They
from what
already
I
have
understand,
done some comics, yeah.
from what I
Yeah,
understand,
they did.
Power Rangers comics have been fucking killing it lately. So.
Yeah, well, those are really good, but those are a different thing. That's like
Well, yeah,
somebody
those are
going,
based-
I'm going to make the original series like a thing that's
Good.
worth reading week to week. And that's awesome. They crossed over with the Justice League. I read a little bit of that. It's great. But fucking
Nice.
the movie is a whole other thing. That was, a very different direction. It was like this modern, very specific direction for the universe. And I think that now, whatever they do, it's going to be very different from what it was supposed to be. I for one, really would have liked to have seen this continue, at least to get that Green Ranger movie. Because odds are that would have been better, number one. And number two, I've wanted to see that for my whole life, and that would have been great. I enjoyed this movie enough as the dark, modern Power Rangers origin movie. I always wanted to see that. I wanted to see the Green Ranger saga done that way, too. So
I guess they're going to have to change the theme song to No Green Ranger, No.
yeah. Wow.
No Green Ranger, no.
Wow. You are
Oh, Andres, you're a very punny man.
so sassy. My God.
Destroy the Power Rangers and destroy the sequel. Don't let
Tired of going.
Lord Zed get a hold of your mind.
His rights.
His rights.
That's the Green Ranger's new theme song after he decides that he's tired of going and just like, fuck that noise, man.
You know what? Yeah, I would have liked it, but at the end of the day, like, because I liked the movie a lot, but I feel like it's not a huge loss for me personally. I would have been interested. I would have been curious, and I'm not going to cry about it. Yeah, I'm not going to spill no crocodile tears from me.
Well, crocodile tears is when
Be
you're,
real.
when you're not actually crying. It's when you're just like, oh,
Exactly.
My eyes are watering because there's stuff in them. That's what crocodile tears are.
Okay, I guess that's true. So no tears of any kind from me here because, yeah, whatever. Well, that was fun. Who's up for Chinese?
To be real, the best part of the movie is the mobile game.
Yes, that I would agree with you there.
The movie. So as long as they keep making that
product.
As long as they keep making that, I'm fine. They recently added Mesogog to that game, so I'm fucking stoked.
Cool.
David, how do you feel about the failure of Power Rangers?
I mean, I'm on the same boat as Andres. Like, I'm not going to shed tears. I mean, I love the movie. But again, I'll always be a bigger fan of Super Sentai.
Well, that's why you're not. That's why you'll never be considered a real American.
And he called me the weeb.
You sound like Bill's favorite member of Toku Legion right now.
Do I have I don't know if I have a favorite member. Maybe myself. I think I'm my own favorite member of Toku Legion.
I have 3 favorite members: me, myself, and I.
Yes, I would say that Brayton is probably in there as well. That's probably about it.
Yeah. He does good work for us.
Yeah, well, those intros are pretty killer. So
yeah, he has to be your favorite by this point.
His parodies are genius.
That too. He's a witty, funny motherfucker. That's about it. Everybody else can kind of fuck off. No. And Patrick Alvin as well. I respect him too much to say that to him.
Andrew.
Oh yeah, Andrew as well. I like him too.
Joseph Fazina.
Why are we talking about this? What the fuck happened?
That's the thing. That's the thing about Power Rangers. We give so little of a fuck that it's like it's no big deal to us now.
That's why it's so weird though, because we liked it, but we feel that way. I don't know. Saban,
yeah,
you fucked up somehow. That's as simple as that. That's as simple as that. And we're gonna move on now, like the rest of the world will. So what's up next?
All right, so the next thing is that Disney will be putting an end to Maker Studios after it purchased it for $1 billion back in 2014.
They bought it just to kill it, just to shoot it in the back of the head behind a barn. Just like they did with Goofy.
So just or with Max, since you hardly see him anymore.
Oh my God.
When's the last time you've seen Max now?
That's so true, though. I never thought about that. They killed them both side by side with one bullet.
It's just like what Marvel did with. It's just like what Marvel did with Spider-Man. It's like we can't have Spider-Man be married. We need to make him young and hot and single again.
So let's have the devil do some weird bullshit.
Yeah, so let's have the devil come. Mephisto. We own Mephisto now. Let's have Mephisto make Goofy's son disappear so Goofy can be young, hung, and full of cum.
Or when they just destroyed the Ultimate Universe, when they were like, oh, that's too much baggage now. Let's just wipe that off the face of the earth, take the characters we like, and put them in the regular universe. They literally did a whole series just to make that happen.
Yeah.
I was
there when the Ultimate Universe started.
Me too. I've been reading a lot of the old Ultimate stuff lately. It's actually really good still. You should read it. Anyway.
Anyways, so Maker Studios is one of the biggest YouTube multi-channel networks out there. For the longest time, they own a small section called Polaris, and Polaris is like their video game
Is it
division.
A giant radioactive bear that fights orcas that we've...
Unfortunately, it is not. But they have Angry Joe, I think.
I don't... all right. I guess that's fine.
And for the longest time,
really
PewDiePie was... yeah, I guess I can understand where you're coming from. PewDiePie was at one point their most popular member until Disney and Maker had to let him go due to some controversial humor that Disney didn't want to be associated with.
Oh, we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that. He was dropped back in February of this year, and so I get the feeling that Disney has this habit of just buying popular companies in the hopes that instead of Disney having to make something from the ground up and appeal to a new demographic, they just buy a popular thing and make it and bring it to their fold. So like for the longest time, Disney tried to make a boys brand that's equally as popular as their Disney Princesses line for their female, for children, for girls. And so they tried with Tron. I almost said Tron.
They tried action figures of Tron. Like, would you like to play with this equally controversial internet figure?
If you pull the string, it'll make sounds like eh.
Spit comes up and shit.
And might actually have a chance to be bought out by Disney.
If you press his the button on his arm, he'll say, "I ain't having that shit."
I wonder if Disney would have me replaced, because when they bought Star Wars from George Lucas, they basically kept everybody except him. That was sort of the whole idea. I wonder if they would get rid of me, and they'd be like, Andres, you're now the leader, obviously, and then everybody else will we'll just sort of see what happens. But let him just go live on his weird ranch, and hopefully not kill people.
I love the delusion that Disney is going to one day buy this show.
And then I will also have a ranch.
If Disney ever buys this show, it'll be for the same reason that Judge Doom bought the red car.
To dismantle it.
To dismantle it.
So, by the way, JonTron is also another member of Maker Studios. So, yeah, so Disney tried to get a lot of try to experiment. They tried to do with Tron Legacy. They tried with John Carter of Mars. They probably tried with some other options. So then they decided, fuck it, we'll just buy Marvel and we'll have those characters be our, the stuff we can sell to boys. And eventually they purchased Star Wars. So it seemed like by then, Disney purchasing Maker Studios, it was their way trying to get into the internet/YouTube demographic. And so for the last 2 years, they've kind of let Maker Studios continue as is, let them do what they want. But I guess they didn't thought that Maker Studios, what it was doing right now, wasn't making a return on the Disney's investment. So now I guess they decided to just dismantle it from here on out. Instead, turning Maker Studios into the Disney Digital Network, and essentially have a lot of their channels
That sounds
start
like
promoting
fucking Skynet.
Essentially, when you start reading these new shows they have in mind for the Disney Digital Network, where they want to have their new shows,
global nuclear war.
They want their shows to be focused on like Disney products, Disney history, Disney. They have a bunch of shows lined up for the future, such as Oh My Disney, Disney Style, Disney Family, Babel, Polaris from Maker, StarWars.com and the Star Wars app, Science and Star Wars, Club Mickey Mouse,
wait,
Disney
I'm sorry.
IRL.
Can we go back Science and Star Wars?
Okay. This is a series that explores, explains, and demonstrates parallels between the Lucasfilm sci-fi epic and real-world scientific breakthroughs the saga has inspired. The IBM
At least they're saying
sponsored...
parallels, because that's all you can really get away with when you're just talking about real science in Star Wars.
Yeah. Let's see. They already have Oh My Disney. The web show isn't out yet, and they already have season 2 planned. Club Mickey Mouse, Disney IRL, Coin. I don't know what that is. It's like some video game animated action comedy thing that
Do
they want to
have
make.
a live feed of the corpse in the vault, like of Disney's head that's like sitting there? I want that. I want the live feed of that. I would just watch that all day while I'm at work. I'd just be like, oh. Hey, boss, cover for me for 10 minutes. I'm going to go outside and just watch the live feed, and I don't want any customers to bother me. Eat my lunch and just stare at the head.
Mm-hmm.
It stares right back.
That's a really interesting masturbation ritual you got there, Bill.
Well, I wouldn't be able to masturbate until I got home, but yeah.
So I guess, unfortunately, unlike Disney and Marvel, in which Disney tries to leave it alone for the most part, they're like, now they're deciding to dig in their Disney claws into Maker now. And just Disneyfy it.
They're Wolverine adamantium claws.
Yes, they're sticking into ribs of Maker.
They're Black Panther claws.
Because they don't know. Right, because they don't own Wolverine.
Well, I mean, they own the cartoon,
the comic,
the comic, and everything. Yeah.
First of all, fuck Disney as a corporation. That's nothing new. But they've been pieces of shit for a while. But fuck them. after
I like
that
the
shit
stuff they make, but yeah.
After that shit they pulled on Tarantino a few years ago, I was like, these guys are assholes.
There's a lot of people in the corporation, though. So, fuck the certain ones that are assholes, and the rest of the ones that make the stuff I like.
Technically, Kill Bill is a Disney movie.
Do what?
Technically, Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 are Disney movies because they were put out by another company that is owned by Disney, similar to what happened with Nightmare Before Christmas.
Dude, then why the fuck isn't Uma Thurman a Disney princess? You want to talk about kicking ass. She kicked way more ass on film than Princess Leia. Are you kidding me?
Or Mulan.
She kicked everybody's ass. Like, everybody in that movie got the ass kicked by her. As like a point of fact, like she would come on screen and you'd be like, I'm about to get my ass kicked. That's what's gonna happen. Like,
but it's not so much an ass kicking as a head chopping off, though, is it? So I wonder if you have to be specific about that, because I think the little girls will care. They'll be like, well, let's see, she's not so much an ass kicker as she is a murderer. So that's an important distinction to make.
You show me a dead guy, and I will show you a man who has gotten his ass kicked thoroughly.
There'll be different people, presumably. So anyway,
oh, by the way,
what the fuck were we talking about?
If you remember, JonTron had that series Starcade, and that was a Disney Maker Studios collaboration where they asked JonTron to make that Star Wars series that kind of went out of control and was nowhere near as big as it was originally going to be planned.
He actually worked with Disney on that. Fascinating.
Yeah, Disney was the reason why it was all Star Wars, and that's why Disney was able to, get the money together to make that Millennium Falcon set and the costumes and all of the special effects.
And Chewbacca eating his penis.
What?
That too.
Is he still with them now that the internet decided that he's a Nazi? Or have they distanced themselves yet?
So I didn't hear anything so far. He just remained silent for like the last 2 months, I believe. So I don't think anything has happened business-wise for him outside of him, his voice being removed from the Banjo-Kazooie-inspired game Yooka-Laylee, which pissed off a lot of JonTron fans.
Oh yeah, that because he's a big fan of that.
Yeah. Because the people who made Banjo-Kazooie, they went on Kickstarter and created a new game. And so instead of a bear and a bird, you have a chameleon and bat. And it was released like last month. But then
Interesting combination.
Yeah, and so JonTron voiced a bit character in that game, and they removed his voice and replaced it.
I see. Well, that's what you get for having Disney make a weird action figure that makes weird noises. Ah! As Andre said before. Anyway, so what else you got?
Let's see. So the next story I have is that how many of you are familiar with the meme-worthy character Pepe the Frog?
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with Pepe the Frog.
That was a frog?
Yeah, that was a frog.
Oh.
He was intended to be a frog, yes.
Yeah, because it originally was part
God
of this...
God knows what the hell that actually is. Like some weird spawn of Satan that actually is.
Wait a minute. Did anybody ever put him on the unicycle? Because if not, I see that as a huge missed
Oh,
opportunity.
yeah. Are you crazy? I saw that meme a million times, but I never knew...
No.
The original idea was this is a frog in particular. It looks like a weird alien creature.
Originally, it was a frog named Pepe that was part of a comic
Pepe,
series.
why do you look so sad, Pepe? Oh, mama, you know I'm very sad. My girlfriend, she dumped me for other frog. Oh, Pepe, your sadness, it makes me sad. Oh, Pepe.
So
My wife.
Pepe.
This has been a reenactment of the backstory of Pepe by Bill Wurster.
So Pepe used to be, or was originally part of a indie comic series called Boys Club, made by a cartoonist.
Oh, Pepe, why do you keep going to the boys' club? You have to stop it. You always get into fights there. Pepe, stop going there. Mama, you cannot stop me from going to the boys' club. It's the only thing I have after my girlfriend, she left me. Oh, no.
I think we should just co-produce an independent show of Bill doing nothing but fucking ridiculous voices.
We almost wanted to do that with Schultz at one point. Schultz reviews movies.
We were going to do a double feature of Schultz reviewing movies and Optimus Prime going on rants about politics and shit. Like
No. It was Optimus singing random theme songs.
Oh, no, that's
lame.
I don't know. That's so lame.
I don't know
He should have been
what
going on political rants where he was just like, well, you know what's bullshit? Fucking Republicans, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, David. I'm pretty sure that's the podcast that we already have. So
Well, yeah, I mostly just do silly voices while you guys try to be serious about shit, because that's all I know how to do in life. Like, if you ask anybody, like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, sometimes we think he's got, like, bipolar personality disorder, because all he does is do weird voices. And Andres,
So anyways, yeah.
you just keep sending links, and I'm just like, what's going on down there in the...
I'm sending you guys images of the original book that Pepe came from, which was an indie comic from 2005 by cartoonist Matt Furry.
Oh my god!
And so eventually
this
Now,
looks
the
like
reason-
weird serial killer shit, son.
now the reason that Pepe became a meme is because he's drawn so poorly, right?
I don't know.
Right
It
now,
was just they took the
Right
original.
now-
Again, if
like-
it's supposed to be a frog, I would have to agree.
like that because for a long time now that's been like the one meme that I was like, I think I understand this one. I think.
It was just like-
I
it was
think
the-
I can relate with the young hip people about this one in particular.
But I think it's just like it was just like the image of sad Pepe, and so they took that sad image and they kind of went to town with it in various different ways. And eventually, a lot of trolls and Trump supporter, or maybe like ironic Trump supporters, started making Trump-based memes out of Pepe. And eventually, Hillary Clinton's called out on the Trump Pepe memes. And so, of course, the media, the news media, which has of course completely out of touch with internet culture, they said, okay, so if Hillary claims that Pepe, this version of Pepe is an anti-Semitic symbol, then I guess everything related to Pepe is anti-Semitism.
I saw this on the news. My grandma was watching, and I'm like, I cannot imagine what she is thinking right now, and I'm not going to ask her. It must be blowing her mind.
And of course, Trump endorsed the Trump Pepe memes, so that only made the reputation of Pepe even more infamous.
Did this happen recently, or did this happen during the election?
It happened during the election.
Right, okay. I vaguely remember.
Trump retweeted a Trump Pepe meme, and that's what got
I
his
have the
attention.
best Pepe memes, okay? Listen, before me, there were no good Pepe memes. This character, he was nothing before I took on his persona, okay?
That's
by the way,
essentially what Trump. That's essentially kind of what Trump did, which led to a spiraling chain of events that now the news media now sees Pepe as an anti-Semitism meme, which made the trolls and Trump supporters and troll Trump supporters embrace that identity for this new version of Pepe. So with the recent,
you're aware, right? You're aware, right, that the now infamous Trump supporter that got punched on live TV and started the whole hashtag punch a Nazi bullshit. His offense, the evidence that there is for him being a Nazi is Pepe. Like if you pay attention to that clip, he's like talking to the reporter and he's like, Pepe has become like a symbol of, and then this guy just comes out of nowhere and punches him in the face. So they take it very seriously.
You don't talk about Pepe that way. His mama is very sad for him. You do not make his mama sad.
And even like what was it called? Back when Shia LaBeouf was doing the "He Will Not Divide Us," there would be people who would troll the shit out of Shia, and some people would just scream Pepe, and that would be enough to trigger Shia and have to chase him down the street.
Why does he not like Pepe? Why do you not like my boy Pepe?
Nobody likes Pepe because now Pepe is outside of trolls. Nobody likes Pepe because now they just see him as as a symbol of anti-Semitism because people don't understand internet culture. And so the creator of Pepe and Boys Club, quote unquote, decided to kill off Pepe in his book in the in a free comic book day issue of Boys Club.
God.
In
Please
the
send
hopes
me that where he dies.
Yes, I'll send it. It's like a funeral where all the characters are just mourning the loss of dear old Pepe. And so he thought that...
Pepe, why you leave me? Your mama alone in the world. Why, Pepe, why?
He's like, I brought you into this world. The internet made a monster out of you, so I'll take you out of this world. I'll put you out of your misery, Pepe.
Bad with the Jewish people. The sad irony is that you are my Jewish boy.
Why you hate the Jews, Pepe?
No, he was a Jew. You misunderstand. He was a proud Jewish boy. Why, my young Pepe?
And all he ever wanted to do was just chill out and smoke weed in that comic. He was like the chillest character, apparently, from that book.
Oh, nobody understood my boy. My Pepe.
I love the narrative that Bill's painting. Pepe was a Jewish guy that the news, which of course, run by Jews, decided was a Nazi. And then he got killed.
His own creator killed Pepe in the hopes of gaining some control.
My boy was betrayed by his own papa.
Does anybody read this comic?
I don't know. Maybe now that Pepe is infamous, but now as a result, as what do you call it? As a reply, the internet decided to make Trump memes out of the rest of the Boys Club characters.
They all kind of look like him in the face.
Yeah, that's what made it easy to turn them into memes.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I'm gonna go talk to people and be like, and they're gonna be like, "Why does your voice sound so hoarse?" I'm gonna be like, "Well, I was doing a podcast last night and I just started portraying this really dramatic Italian mother whose son was murdered." Anyway, I went too far.
Jewish somehow, and
yeah, she was a Jewish Italian woman. She was very sad. She was very sad that her son died.
Mm-hmm. And I just shared like a political cartoon involving the death of Pepe.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Wow. We'll all remember where we were during the Pepe Wars of 2017.
Again, I don't even remember that they happened, but I'm mystified now that I know. I feel like my world has been opened up and changed.
But is anybody standing outside their comic shop saying, "Hey man, when's the next Boys Club come out?"
I hope they're not saying it out loud. Otherwise, they're going to be fucking accosted by a police officer.
Gotta have it. Gotta get my fix.
Excuse me, sir. What did you just say about the Boys Club?
Oh, and this was the meme that kind of started this whole madness that Trump supported.
Fucking Pepe, and then like they decide, oh, he's a Nazi. That makes sense. Well, let's take him in.
You can't stump the Trump.
Why the fuck would he support that?
There were all those memes like Pepe
because he's Donald Trump and he enjoys all the positive attention.
This is not positive. He looks like a weird alien. Why would he want this to Why would he be like, yeah?
Well, that's just real life.
Listen,
That's just
okay, I like what this is about. This is the closest portrait anybody's ever made of me. Okay, it's absolutely fabulous. It's great.
Portrayal,
it's spectacular.
An accurate portrayal of what he looks like in real life. So he was like,
Believe me.
I love it. Excuse me while I go divulge information to the Russians.
Oh, what a marvelous time to be alive.
Yep.
Do you guys think there's any room on that Mars mission left? Like, they're planning that Mars mission in like 2015. No, I was gonna say 2015. I'm like,
I think that ship has literally sailed, Bill.
Oh, fuck.
That ship has launched.
Let's say like 2020. Let's say 2020. Let's say 2025. That gives us a little time. So if we can somehow get on that, I think we should make that happen because it doesn't seem like things are gonna go well.
No.
You just now cluing in on that one.
Yeah, to be honest, after I found out about this whole Pepe thing, what they did to my poor boy Pepe. Anyway.
So anyways, the last bit of news is that it's finally confirmed when exactly Shin Gojira is going to be coming to America. It'll be coming on Blu-ray, DVD, and HD digital on August 1st of this year, and it will be coming with the full English dub along with
Whoa, really?
A special feature. Yeah, English
will the Dragon Ball Z
and,
cast be used?
Let's
No,
see. I'm going to look.
They released the cast list, and I didn't recognize the names.
Let's see. Todd Habercorn, Trina
Who the
Nishimura,
fuck is Todd Habercorn?
J. Michael Tatum, Kent Williams, Ian Sinclair, Mika Solusod, Kate Oxley.
All right, here's my question. Why didn't they ask us? I would have loved to have played Rando. I would have been great.
Recite a line from the movie in your best Rando Yaguchi voice.
Fucking Prime Minister, listen, son. There is something on the ocean floor. There is blood in the fucking tunnel. It's crazy. You need to do something about it.
It's gonna send us back to the Stone Age.
It's wild. It's most undope, I must say.
Mad chill.
It is not mad chill. No, Mr. Prime Minister, it is not mad. Dylan's the Prime Minister. It is not mad chill.
We should just do an SOS dub of Shin Godzilla.
I'm not opposed to it. We
should get Brayton, the man of 1,000 voices.
Well, I recently did my own version of a movie called Inframan. And
you can call it.
You call that a movie?
I call that art. Is what I call that. So this might be a project that we have to undertake, as we can do our own version of Shin Godzilla. I think, like Inframan, we'll have to cut stuff out just to make it doable, but we'll still do it.
Are we just gonna straight dub the movie with silly voices, or are we gonna DBZ abridge the shit?
I think we should DBZ abridge it, and also to have Godzilla. We should get somebody to do Godzilla, and all they'll do is just go. Just like constantly in pain, just like a quiet scream, just like.
We should all just take turns dubbing Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a mix of all of our voices.
Can my character just sit there the whole time and point out all the problems?
He just has a horrific collection of screams for his voice.
Sounds appropriate, given the ending. given the ending. What the fuck, Dylan?
I don't care who I play in this, as long as the abridged version of them is just some asshole sitting around pointing out all the problems with the movie.
I don't. Oh, I think that's fucking the Prime Minister, or the second.
No, oh, okay.
Yeah, the one who's talking about how soggy the noodles are.
Who would be Kyoko Ann Patterson?
David. Yeah, David would be Kyoko.
Oh, you motherfucker! I was gonna say Sean Barry.
He's the one who wants. He's the one who wants to be inside of an Asian woman, so he can do it metaphor. He can spiritually inhabit one via playing.
Dave, would you rather? Here, I was just gonna suggest Nicola.
No.
Dave, would you rather be Kyoko Ann Patterson or Laptop Girl? Your choice.
Which one would you like to be inside of, metaphorically, character-wise, in your head while you're playing them?
This is the most difficult decision I ever had to make in my life.
Oh my god!
Again, it's not sex.
Not in the traditional sense, anyway.
Well, thanks for ruining the fantasy, Bill.
I didn't say that. Dylan was the one who was like, it's not sex, you piece of crap. Stop imagining seeing him naked. Come back to reality, what we're going to talk about.
Stop it.
What voice was that? I don't.
That was Trump. That was Trump when he was telling the like all the people who were rioting.
Listen,
after he was elected.
Listen,
he was looking at the.
Stop
he was being
punching people in the face. All right, I'm the only one who can hit people. Okay, only when there's bugs on me can I hit people. All right, I'll punch somebody in the fucking face. Okay.
Stop it.
Excuse me, I have to go fire half of Washington. Okay.
This has been a very, very, very controversial, politically driven episode. So Andres, you already have this movie, so I just like to say fuck you for one. No,
you're welcome.
I have the movie too.
Well, fuck you too. Wait, hang on.
I actually have a subtitled version of the movie.
Are you gonna buy this, Andres? I wasn't asking you, but all right.
I don't know because I already spent like $80 on this one.
I only spent like $30.
That's the thing I hate about. That's the thing I hate about the DVD Blu-ray market in Japan. The thing is, in Japan, because Japan is not as movie centric as America is, almost hardly anyone actually buys and collects DVDs and Blu-rays in Japan. Nobody really like collects movies. They just watch them occasionally on TV or at the cinema. And that's it. So that's why they're so goddamn expensive.
And they recreate them with shadow puppets throughout the rest of time.
Unless you're Hideo Kojima or Ryuhei Kitamura.
Right. Again, they are not the norm. They are the exceptions. People like them are the exceptions. So
they reenact them later in a scene not unlike the ritual on Odo Island from the original Godzilla.
And
again, I really like that ritual. We should perform that at G-Fest at some point. We should be like, we're gonna get on stage and do that. You guys would like that.
You feel free, Bill. You go do that thing.
Oh come on, we're gonna have masks on, you pussy. Why wouldn't you do it?
I will. I'll play Perry Mason. I'll just sit on the sideline.
Perry Mason is dead, son. You can't play Perry Mason.
So is everyone else in that movie. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we wouldn't be playing.
Takarada's still alive, you bastard.
Yeah, you spoke.
Haru Nakajima too.
You spoke.
He pointed at your shirt.
You spoke in the wrong language to fucking one of them. This people's still alive, you idiot. It's fucking.
Bill and I recently watched and riffed on the original Gojira and the version of the film that we created.
It was madness.
The version of the film that we created in that riff was all about the Japanese trying to accommodate Perry Mason on his vacation.
Yeah, because he was a famous American celebrity who was in Japan when Godzilla attacked, so they were trying to constantly make sure he was okay because he was the only one who really matters.
So the whole movie was them trying to make Perry Mason stay comfortable, but there's just this big lizard that keeps getting in the fucking way.
Yeah, because that's all the movie is really about. We were watching the funny thing was that we were watching the Japanese version, which was the weird thing.
The best part. That was the best part. Is Perry Mason was never seen; he was only mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. It was more of a Godzilla 2014 thing, where he was more of an idea throughout most of the movie, and you only.
It started during that Odo Island scene I was talking about, actually, because one of the characters turned to one of the other characters and said, "Hey, did you notice that Perry Mason's here?"
Yeah. Oh my god! I'm so flustered. I don't know what to say to him. Can you believe it? I kind of want to go over and take a picture, but it's a really, it's the middle of the night and we're watching this weird ritual about monsters and shit. I don't think it's the right time. Anyway.
We need to do it for Godzilla movies what Team 4-Star did for Dragon Ball Z.
Anyway, so I approve. I approve of Shin Godzilla getting released in America.
Well, yeah, as I was saying, I might not buy it in the end because I already got a really expensive one, so I'll just have that be my.
Well, you don't need it. You've got the subtitles and shit.
Yeah, I got a subtitle. Actually, like Sean Barry sent me a subtitled version, a full, not the 2 hour version that's missed, not the hour and 40-minute version that's missing 20 minutes. Sean Barry sent me like a full version with subtitles, so that was good.
I've seen it thanks to the International Space Satellite in Space.
Yeah, the International Space Satellite in Space, not that other website name that I just said that you should all forget. They have the full version now, not just the fucking the one that was around before.
Yeah. So I do have we have options. I have options now, and like I said,
we're like a girl who's just broken up with a dude. Like we've broken up with that bad version. Like we have options now to watch this movie. Like we don't have to rely on
I don't
that.
need you anymore.
We're strong, independent podcasters who don't need you to watch Shin Godzilla.
Who don't need no short edit. Who don't need no cuts.
Would you call that version bad? Because one of my problems with Shin Godzilla is that I thought
it improves in some cases. Although it skips out.
I'd like to watch the whole movie.
I like the German sequence, which they skipped out on.
The German sequence?
Yeah,
Wait,
but
what is
the English is terrible though. It's like watching your mother acting. It's awful.
I guess
the whole movie. The English is awful, you know. Like
no.
That's
There's
not a whole lot you can do about that.
Kyoko's mentor is well acted.
Payback, Roger. Payback.
Oh my god, yeah, that's one of my favorite moments. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. Yeah, payback.
In our dub of Shin Godzilla, the joke needs to be that everybody in Japan speaks English better than Kyoko and Patterson. And they're like, you're the fucking representative that
We should get an actual Asian to do the dub for Kyoko and have them do like a really stereotypical racist accent.
No, what you do.
It's really funny because the stereotypical racist Asian accent isn't really how Asian people sound like.
Exactly.
What you do, Bill, is you just take her dialogue from the movie and you plug it into the Japanese Google Translate.
Yes.
Exactly, and that's the version of English and American that they portrayed.
Because there are videos on YouTube that do that with Star Wars clips, and it is a magical thing to see.
Well, presuming I ever have the energy to do this, we'll see what happens.
Oh, funny enough, I think
I'll edit the our dub.
Well, if you edit the video, I'll edit the audio.
It'll be the greatest SOS Ventures. Yeah.
I can do both.
People are listening to this podcast now like, I can't wait till they fucking do this thing. They haven't learned yet that we never do these things that we talk about.
You were astonished.
It'll be the greatest venture since Shinpei's toy box. Oh.
Well, Dylan was astonished when I was like, I did the Inframan thing, because that was a thing that I said to him like while we were just chilling one night, and I was like, I'm gonna edit this movie with all the action with music over it.
It wasn't even the fact that you did it. It was like you started doing it while we were still on the call. Like you were like, you said it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a funny joke. And then you like started downloading clips, the shit, and I was like, he's actually gonna do it.
Yeah, I did it. I had it done by the next morning, and I was very proud of myself. I like that a lot. Anyway, nobody else has seen that, so regardless, it doesn't matter.
It is the highest thing Bill will ever achieve in his life.
Yeah, I think so. It's my highest form of self-expression.
It's your magnum opus.
You have no idea, but nobody will ever see it because it has so much copyrighted imagery in it. Anyway. And audio. So that's it for the news, right, Andres? That's all the shit we may or may not care about. I cared about all of that, actually. Pepe, most of all. My poor boy, Pepe! Oh, my poor boy.
He is dead now.
Oh, he was murdered by his own friends. Oh,
he's swimming in his own red goo.
Oh,
what if Bill dubs the Prime Minister in that voice?
You want the first prime minister to be an over-dramatic Italian mother? I'm down for that.
Oh no, the old people, they are going to get killed by the helicopters.
They're crossing the train tracks, Pepe! Stop firing the weapons at Godzilla! No, they weren't calling him Godzilla at that point.
Leave him alone, he is only a baby.
Alright.
He is healthy, strong boy, let him grow up.
Speaking of...
What if Pepe was a Nazi, and then the big twist of the movie is him finding out that he's Jewish?
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to talk about a movie tonight. That's going to be the rest of the podcast.
The Pepe movie.
It's not the Pepe movie that Dylan's proposing, but it's maybe just as dark and just as controversial. No, probably not as controversial as that. But there's some elements. So we're going to talk about another recent monster movie. They're popping these things out like a fucking Mormon family, aren't they? Just like one after the other. The Kong Skull Island this year, Power Rangers is kind of a kaiju movie, and now we have the next one, Colossal.
It felt just like yesterday. I was just giving news about the whole Colossal debacle.
Oh wow!
Around.
Look at that. There's an episode title right there. Colossal debacle.
Yeah, back when they were using copyrighted images of Godzilla, and Toho sued them, and then everyone was thinking, "Oh, what's going to happen now?" Because we're also using images of the X from Outer Space and Mazinger Z. And
I was going to say, what robot is it before I say the wrong one and everybody gets mad at me?
It's Voltron. That's what you're gonna. It's a Gundam.
I might have said Voltron. I really might have said Voltron.
We would have said like, no, you fucking idiot. Can you see? It's only black and silver. It's not like red, yellow, blue, and green.
All right, two things. I'm not looking at it, and the other thing is I don't know what Mazinger Z looks like.
It's a Jet Jaguar, right? That's who that is.
He's got a grill. Like he's probably the reason why Jet Jaguar has that grill smile. Mazinger Z has that similar thing going on.
So
True. And the red arrow on Jet Jaguar's chest is not entirely different from the fucking bat wings on the front of Mazinger Z.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna look. Here's a picture of Mazinger Z, Bill. So this is what they used to have feature fighting Godzilla. This is the granddaddy of all giant one of the granddaddies, one of the big granddaddies of all giant robots.
He's got well-toned legs. I see. He's got spikes on his head, too. That must make it hard for him to shower.
Quick question, Bill. What is Ultraman?
Oh, wow. That's the question that we all have to answer in life, isn't it?
That's ironic because I'm editing Ultra 7 right now.
I can't imagine how to describe Ultraman. He's a giant being from a faraway planet who murdered a man, brought him back to life, and then took over his body and killed other things because he liked it. That's what Ultraman. That's my breakdown of the original Ultraman.
I want to
accurate.
You always characterize Ultraman as like having murdered Hayata, when in reality it was more of like a mid-air.
It was a murder. It was manslaughter. We have discussed this before. I will not get into this again.
I want to see the big budget Hollywood version of Bill Wurster's Ultraman.
Anyway, so we're not talking about Ultraman tonight. We're talking about a very different thing. I was going to say tokusatsu thing. It's not really that. This does not really fit into that category. It's playing
tokusatsu or tokuwatsu?
Either. It's playing with ideas from that box, but the overall movie is just, again, it's just playing with those ideas about as much as like fucking Austin Powers did when they brought Godzilla in that, or no, it wasn't Godzilla, that, you know, because of international copyright laws.
Right.
But
it looked like
it's not. Which is the idea here. Oh, there's sequences where there's giant monster stuff that means something for what's going on in the human scenes, and it's not the focus of the movie though. We don't really get a good look at the monster up close until the end in a very Cloverfield-esque sense in this movie.
It's just always super short.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, it's also always like super grainy footage. Like we so rarely cut to the actual city and see it up close, and it's always at night.
It's also a very low budget movie, so kudos to them for managing it very well.
Well, the monster looks really good. I mean, that's
yeah.
The robot doesn't, but the robot doesn't.
No.
But the monster
looks
really good.
It's mostly a design thing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Andres, what was the name of the robot in War of the Monsters, the video game on the PS2?
Ultra 5.
It looks kind of like Ultra 5.
Not really.
What's the other one? What's the other one?
Oh, Robo 47.
That's the other one that it looks like.
I could see it's got the mono eyes thing. I thought it looked like a drone from the first Transformers movie merchandise.
Okay. That's fair.
Because you remember, like, the first movie toy line, they had a bunch of drones. In the video game also had the drones with one eye.
It also kind of looks like their version of Devastator.
And the movie costed only $15 million.
You think maybe the design was supposed to look cheap because of what you eventually find out that it is based on?
I don't think it's supposed to look like anything. It look cheap or expensive. I think it's supposed to look like a giant robot. That's what I think it's supposed to look like. And I think for that,
certainly succeed.
Yeah, well, that's all I think it's supposed to succeed at, and I think that's enough. The monster, it's kind of the same, but I think they go a little further with it, and I think that's what makes it sort of distracting in that sense. But let's get a little more general. So
here's the best look of the robot itself.
Okay.
I like that the monster is like this weird thing. Like it's not just a generic like big lizard.
It's kind of like reminds me a bit of Treebeard. Like he's like a Groot or Treebeard from Lord of the Rings, kind of like this tree-ish looking monster. And it reminds me a bit of I know David might know this, Gyango from the original Ultraman. He's got like very tree trunk body, the big wide mouth, the small beady eyes, and even little horns on the side.
Well, it's disturbing how much it looks like Anne Hathaway, though. Like that's the really disturbing thing.
The interesting thing is, I didn't get tree from it so much. To me, it kind of looked like a big sort of vaguely like humanoid in shape, but kind of insect-like a little bit. You know what I mean?
It is a little stick buggish. But to me, it's a generic Godzilla, Yongari, reptilian-looking thing.
I didn't get reptilian at all from it.
What?
No, not at all.
Are you crazy? It's got scales and claws.
It's got a
teeth.
tail, yeah, but you rarely see the tail.
It doesn't have a really long tail though, and it doesn't have the posture.
It's a big lizard.
It's not a lizard. It's like a troll creature thing.
How is it a lizard? It doesn't have a snout.
Right, no snout.
It's a big Godzilla-like thing. It's
not.
It looks nothing like. Or Anne Hathaway. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. You're crazy. Both of you are crazy. It's
crazy.
It's supposed to be like a rough approximation of both of those things. I see the Anne Hathaway thing for sure.
Now, if you had said it looked like Sarah Jessica Parker, maybe I could.
I mean, I'll say that too because I agree. But I think that it also looks like that there are certain shots where you can, I'm telling you, there are certain angles where Andre, she just keeps sending links. Jesus Christ.
It's visual. What do you call what's the phrase? Visual something.
Particularly like the silhouette of the thing. I see Godzilla and also I see Anne Hathaway. Oh yeah, it doesn't have a snout. That's one thing I forgot looking at it from the side.
How does it in any way have Godzilla's silhouette though? There's no spines. The tail is super.
It's skinny. The arms are lanky.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that it's got the sort
of.
You're
right.
I'm saying that it's got sort of the belly of Godzilla going on and the sort of.
No, he's not.
You're either wrong or you're right, Bill, and I gotta say you're wrong. It stands perfectly straight.
I don't care. I'm giving up.
Okay,
can we at least agree that the character in generic idea is supposed to be Godzilla? That is the point, right? Can we agree on that?
No.
It's a giant monster attacking a fucking city.
Maybe.
All right, whatever. Did you guys like it? Did you?
Yes,
like the movie?
I loved it.
Great.
It was a fantastic.
Great. I liked it too. Good. Review over. No.
Dun 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 dun.
Bill liked his strange interpretation of the movie. David, did you like the movie? You haven't said anything to that effect.
I liked it, but
you sound unsure.
I was waiting for that, but the way he said I liked
it. It's because of I mean, it's a really polarizing movie for me because I have extreme mixed feelings about it. Like, I like it, but there are some elements I didn't like about it.
Did you not like the twist at the end involving Jason Sudeikis' character?
Yeah, about that too.
Because a lot of people were very half and half of that. Either people really liked it or it made them feel uncomfortable.
I thought it was interesting.
The point, Andre. The problem is this movie's marketing was bullshit because they sold this as a kaiju comedy, which I would have loved. I mean, that's something that I think we need. I think we need to experiment with the kaiju genre.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead, it's a psychological thriller, but with giant monsters. This is like a 90s, like Julia Roberts movie, like Sleeping with the Enemy, but there are giant monsters in it.
There's comedic elements, but that's all there to paint a picture of who the characters are. and what they're about and what they're like and how they interact with each other.
It's a really nice example of genre blending, using elements from different genres to make something unique and creative.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Oh my god, it's so interesting, and I've never seen anything like it. And I really enjoyed it.
We keep arguing, we keep complaining that Hollywood is all out of ideas and they don't make anything neat, original, creative anymore. And here's an example of someone finally doing something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a low budget, so because they can't find a big Hollywood investor to invest in such a weird thing. So
well, they've got some not big names, but some actors I recognize in it. Like obviously you've got Anne Hathaway, you've got Jason Sudeikis, you've got the leader from The Incredible Hulk.
Him in a rather serious role, which is different from most of what he's usually featured in.
He was a.
Does anyone really remember him?
He was the asshole business government worker in Van Forstick.
Yeah, I remember him as the leader.
He's usually playing like eccentric characters or like smarmy, snobbish characters.
I really like that movie. Like I don't know why it sort of gets written off by the Marvel people nowadays. So yeah, I definitely remember him as the leader.
Well, he wasn't the leader in that movie. He became that for like a second, and then we'll hopefully see that at some point. It doesn't look like we will, but anyway.
Never gonna happen.
No, probably not. So here's my thing. I think I really like all of the character stuff in this movie. That's what really works for me. I think all these characters are interesting. The situation is compelling and never like boring. There's always some element of the personal drama between the characters or the mystery about the relationship between Anne Hathaway, the monster, and Jason Sudeikis and the robot. Since we've already spoiled that, obviously we're not gonna hold back with spoilers. This movie you've had the chance. If you already had the chance to see this movie, you should have taken it, and we're not gonna hold back. But
that is the one great thing I can say about the trailer. Thank you for not showing that reveal. Thank you for not showing
that was spoiled for me. I guess it's just because I waited so long to see it. I knew that already.
My jaw hit the fucking floor when fucking the robot entered the picture. I was not expecting it.
I don't think I knew it was him though. I think I thought it was somebody else in the movie.
They did tease it in the trailer when you see Anne Hathaway putting up her dukes.
Yeah, but
you don't see what she's doing it against.
Exactly. That's why I like the trailer. I like it.
You knew they were going to do some kind of fight. I knew they were going to do some kind of monster fight variant.
Especially when you saw like the pre-production images of Godzilla fighting.
That's the other thing too. We knew there was going to be a robot in it from the beginning. I didn't know it was going to be controlled by somebody. If anything, I thought it might be controlled by her, like she was going to be fighting herself. I thought because that would have totally worked with the themes of the film. What all of the monster stuff comes to mean, like that kind of thing would have totally worked in a more, I guess, artsy-fartsy kind of way. But what they did was also pretty artsy-fartsy, but still just as compelling, I think. Although, one thing I didn't like was that it takes a little time to form. Like, there is no real overarching narrative. It's kind of just a bunch of stuff that Anne Hathaway kind of puts together slowly. There isn't really there's nothing really propelling us forward necessarily. The mystery of the monster and her connection to it, sure, but that takes a while to get going.
Yeah, and even then, that's never the priority of the movie. The priority is always focused on her and her personal struggles.
And it takes a while for you to really get what they're getting at with that. Because at first,
I don't know. It took me I don't know. It wasn't a problem for me. I kind of knew where its priorities were and where the majority of the focus was early on.
Well, but in terms of what they were trying to get at with the monster, like what that meant with that, I just thought that I needed a little bit more of we're trying to do this. We needed more of a specific goal. Maybe she should have gone back to the hometown. I don't know, hometown for more of a specific reason. More specifically, my issue was I didn't like that so much of a stretch of it was building up to them getting into more of a big traditional fight as the monster and the robot. Like that was like a good, I don't know exactly how long it was, but it felt like a good 30-minute stretch.
There was a great element to that in that Jason Sudeikis obviously much larger and tougher, and I swear he must have like bulked up for this role because I've never seen him. He's kind of a little bit jacked in this movie. Like he
He was
He's
definitely
usually a
big
bit
and beefy.
schlubby.
Yeah. He obviously much larger and stronger than Anne Hathaway, and so that adds this whole element to the thing. She can't just go into the playground at the same time as him and stop him from destroying Seoul. She finds a very clever way around that at the end, but she can't just straight up stop him.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant. I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let me just say, the most genius thing about this movie is a certain scene. This movie contains possibly the most like emotionally impactful monster destruction scene I have seen in a long time. Possibly even since like Gojira. Like it's really emotional, and it's literally just Jason Sudeikis stepping around a playground.
Yeah, that was very cool, especially when you see the footprints. I think it's all about Anne Hathaway's reaction and the sound effects. You really feel the weight of it in a way that monster movies don't usually play it up that much because they don't want you to be sad.
And there's also a nice way of working with your low budget.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they never cut to the robot destroying the city either, at least at all in your imagination. If Hollywood had made this movie, we would have been cutting back and forth from Seoul to that place like all the time. And I think that would have ruined it, kind of. Like, the artistic thing about it is you don't actually see it. It's all in your mind. You're imagining this fucking thing happening.
Yeah, in that particular sequence in particular, that was definitely the right approach. It was the most effective way to handle that.
Or like one of the first times when she's experimenting with controlling the monster and she's a bit drunk and tipsy, she's dancing around, she accidentally falls and lands on a building. And she wakes up and she's like, holy shit, I just killed some people there.
That's probably the best scene in the movie, right? At least in my opinion.
That reminds me, the blackout scenes. Like I love how in this movie, you never see her drink. You immediately jump cut to her waking up with a hangover, which is kind of like what happens in real life when you drink, you don't remember what happens when you're intoxicated. So we see it from her point of view.
I mean, you see her drunk a few times, like that scene you were just talking about, and obviously we see her in
we see her drinking bars and stuff. Like we do.
But there's like
drink.
But they always have these major jump cuts, so you're just as lost and confused as she is.
After a certain point, yeah. Like there's definitely a tipping point where you're like, oh, that's what the idea is supposed to be. She got so blazed out that now we're just gone. And yeah, that element of it was really effective, where she was constant. Her performance was great. She was very restrained and casual, but also like playing up the whole. The drinking has just taken over who she is, and she's just she can't remember. She can't put together anything herself. She can't remember anything now. She's just so obsessed with that.
And of course, you have Jason Sudeikis, who's kind of like taking advantage of this intoxicated woman. He's enabling her, putting her in a situation, encouraging bad behavior, not just with her, but with his other friends as well.
Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. He thinks that he's giving them all a place to go, but obviously, yeah, he's just sort of.
But he's a character who's like obsessed with control, and so he wants to have. He lords it over them.
He's using it
Which,
for
by the
his
way,
own for his own emotional needs. Yeah.
Yeah,
he is definitely, in my opinion, the performance of this movie, the best performance in this movie. That's often the case with like.
I think everybody's on points. Everybody's on point in this movie. There's not a bad performance in this.
That's kind of often the case in these psychological thrillers, though. Like the crazy person who the plot revolves around is often the most compelling. Like Kathy Bates in Misery, or you can name tons of other examples. Glenn Close from Big Attraction.
And I totally bought his shift too. Like that made a lot of sense.
It so well. And here's this guy that I know from when he was on Saturday Night Live, and he's done like some comedies since then. And boy, did he prove to me that he can be dramatic. Like, holy shit, the boy can act. Like, I never would have expected it, because when I saw him in the trailers, I figured, he's going to be the goofy friend.
And he is.
You think that she might be the love interest.
That too, they set him up early on to make you think, her other boyfriend kicked her out, and then this guy, she's going to wind up with this guy.
This is a screwball comedy where they're going to get together over some weird shit that goes down with the monster, which is not how, which is sort of like that. It looks like it's going to go that way for a while, but then it doesn't.
I love the misdirect there.
It goes a completely other, more interesting way. The scene where he's sitting with her in the living room, just staring at her, just like you're not going to go to your boyfriend tomorrow at midday. That was really like well done and disturbing. Man, what a performance.
He's so scary. He's not going to get any awards nods. I don't imagine, but boy, does he deserve one.
It's still good. See, one character that I thought was maybe not given a fair shake, but I mean, maybe he doesn't need it. No, I didn't. That element was kind of just like it happened, and I was like, all right, I guess that's a thing. So maybe
but we never knew what his deal was.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. She fucked him, and then I was like, why? Like he's this weird. He looks like he's like 18. Like I think maybe that was the reason.
And I remember there was the scene where Jason Sudeikis.
I think that was only there in the movie to make Jason Sudeikis mad.
That's something that set him off.
He rates him. He's saying like, don't remember what happened last time. And I was like, okay, is this something we're going to get into later on in the movie? But they never did, really. So I was like left confused. Like, what is his deal? What did he do in the past that was apparently so bad that he doesn't want to repeat again?
Well, no. I think that was a reference to like he tried to fuck somebody that. Oh God, what's the guy's? What is Jason Sudeikis' character's name?
Let's see. I'll check quickly.
Oscar.
Oh, okay.
I imagine Oscar liked a girl. Joel fucked her. Joel tried to or did fuck her, and then Oscar got mad, beat the fucking hell out of him, and that's what he's alluding to. Was like, remember what happened last time? Because it seems like that's how it's going to go until Anne Hathaway talks him out of it. And then obviously after they bang is when all the bad shit starts going down with the robot.
Mm-hmm. I think the problem a lot of people have with the twist with him is that they think maybe it comes across kind of out of the blue.
And maybe mean-spirited.
But when I was watching it, or afterwards when I was watching it, I didn't think it really came out of the blue. I think from the beginning, they kind of give you hints that he might not be on the level. It's just it's played in such a way that it doesn't really register. Like there's one little moment when they're in
I totally agree. That was totally foreshadowed.
There's a moment when they're in the truck and he's like, "Oh, I don't want you to think I'm like a stalker or something," and he's like totally her stalker. he lives for that.
Not even that, course, but again, the bar thing that's totally a big deal.
And also, I love how like the bar itself, like it physically kind of is like a representation of his mindset. He used to have this homely, warm, welcoming Western aesthetic, and then everything is just replaced with cold steel metal. And it's kind of very appropriate that he's represented with a cold, heartless robot, and Gloria's, Anne Hathaway's character is represented with a living, breathing monster.
Right.
The other thing is, all throughout the movie, early on, he does things every now and then that makes you like question him, but it's always like he shrugs it off as like, "Oh, I was drunk, I don't know what I was doing." But then the scene where it like completely switches for me, and I'm like, "Oh, this guy's like a straight up asshole," and this is the villain of the movie, is the scene where he starts taunting the other guy because of his coke habit.
Yeah. Where he's like, I could call the cops on you. That again, that's a power play. He's manipulating the guy because he has power over him now.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, I'm watching it, I was like, I'm watching a fucking movie, but I feel the awkward. Like, can you imagine being Anne Hathaway in that scene? Just
well, then, when he pulls out the big firework, like, that's a scene where you're like, oh, we're dealing with a monster here.
That's probably to me, like, the height of his acting in the movie, is the fireworks speech.
Yeah.
That's like straight out of a Tarantino flick. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, calm down.
Awesome. And there was some dodgy effects in that scene. There were some moments where I'm like, I think that's CG fire, and that doesn't look great, but it was still like a really powerful scene. That I was going to say this before, though. The ex-boyfriend of Anne Hathaway, really kind of a nothing piece of shit, dickless character, right? All he kind of does is just yell at her, and I don't get any sense of what relationship they had prior that was good, Like, it doesn't seem like he ever really had any good thing to say about her, or they don't emphasize that enough. I don't know. I didn't like it.
But I did like that. I did like
the fact that at the point in the story that we're seeing him, he's kind of fed up with her drinking habit.
Well, obviously, but I'm just saying that we never get to see a moment where I buy that he would even keep calling her, or just I needed to know who he was, as well as being angry and trying to judge her for that, I needed to know a little bit of that, and I never really thought we got a sense of that.
I think for me, I liked how he served as like a different kind of enablist for Gloria. where he said by the second half of the movie, he's like, "Oh, you can't take care of yourself. Here, let me help you do all the work for you." Kind of like it's the opposite kind of enabling for, or kind of he wants to coddle her, protect her, do all the hard work for her, which is what she originally wanted. But at the beginning of the movie, he just wanted kind of like using him as sort of a means to an end. Just someone who's money and home and resources to use as she goes off and does her own thing.
Pretty much, yeah. She's
so in a way,
both and partying and shit, yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, both men are bad for her because both men would prevent her from growing as a person.
That's what I loved about this movie. It's pro-feminist without, the Nazi feminism about it, like in your face about it.
So in other words, real feminism.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I like how at the end of the movie, I was afraid, the end of the movie is going to be her getting back together with the other guy. This was before I realized that the first boyfriend was going to come back into the picture. But I like that the movie didn't end with her like going back to New York with the guy. I mean, I get the feeling that she's going to, but it just ends on her like in that bar. Like that.
Yeah, it's a really nice note. It's like she still has some growth to do overall. Like she still has more growing to do as a person.
Let me tell you an amazing story like that. Like she's trying to relate. She's trying to connect with somebody. Now, do you think? And I like that it was like, do you want to have a drink? Like I think that's again, it's perfect.
Yeah,
just the right note to end on. Again, it's one of those movies where every scene feels like it has a purpose, and there's never a moment where like, oh, they should have cut this out. This is boring bullshit. There's always something going on where you're like, oh, this means this, and this relates back to this, and that was just the perfect moment to go up, and we're done.
That was the other thing that surprised me in this movie, performance-wise, is like if you had asked me before, like, oh, we need an actress to portray a drunk person, or a person who has a drinking problem, I should say, like Anne Hathaway would have been the last person I would have thought of, honestly.
She played a similar character to this in a movie called Rachel Getting Married. So this kind of makes sense to me. She's done this kind of thing before. It's not the same character though. She's not as much of like a overtly dark kind of edgy character as she was in that. This character is more self-conscious, more reserved, or trying to be, and is fighting against that dark side that keeps coming out every time she gets really drunk.
Yeah, and watching the trailers, you might go into this movie with the reservation that maybe they played her too quirky. Not at all, actually. I think they.
No,
I think they
she's very believable. They all are.
Yeah, she never goes full Zooey Deschanel and whips out a ukulele or anything. So I think
there's nothing like that. Yeah,
I think they straddled that line just perfectly.
I liked all the shit where she was falling asleep sitting up against the wall, and she'd fall asleep on the mattress as it would deflate. It's just those little things that you stop giving a shit about that show that you're like, oh, you're so much into the drinking that like you don't even care what you're sleeping on, like you could just go get a bed, but nope, just too busy with dealing with all of that. And man, I really liked the change that occurred after the scene where she killed all the people, because it's moments like that in movies where people get these kind of incredibly, responsibility questioning powers that define who that character is and make them a character worth looking up to. It's like in a superhero origin movie when the character reconciles that they have the powers and that they should probably be responsible with them. It's your Peter Parker post Uncle Ben getting shot, And it worked really well here, especially once we had the robot and Jason Sudeikis to be the flip of her, the irresponsible. He keeps drinking and keeps going and abusing this power that he now has.
It reminded me of an episode of The Twilight Zone where these two individuals, they come across a planet filled with tiny people, and the tiny people receive these two astronauts as like gods, and one of them becomes so obsessed with all that attention that he starts to play the role of a very cruel god who loves to torture these tiny people and force them to make giant statues of him. And that's what I get out of out of Oscar, where he finds, he hates his life. He essentially, hates what he has become, how he's kind of made his father's bar into his own little prison that he can't escape out of, and so he sees his opportunity and he relishes it. He loves the attention, and he has all this power. So whenever you start to hear the people start to boo him, he immediately goes mad with power. Yeah, essentially.
Well, and I love the moment where he comes out and there's no screams or cheers like there was when Anne Hathaway would appear.
Yeah.
I love that element as well. The apartment block that was near the playground whenever they would be the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
We've been super positive thus far. The one genuine problem I have with the movie is I don't even know if you can call it an explanation.
Oh, that, yeah. The quote-unquote reason.
Who the fuck knows what's going on there?
It reminds me a lot.
If they hadn't have
afterthought. Yeah, it was an afterthought. It's just a quirky premise, and it's mostly focused on the reaction to this weird, strange phenomenon.
It's mostly analogous. It's mostly an analogy, metaphorical. It's like the nuke. It's like the way they explained Godzilla in the original, like, oh, he was a dinosaur 2 million years ago, brought back to life by nuclear radiation. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. In this, it's even more vague. It's like, Anne Hathaway was struck by lightning, and then Jason Sudeikis destroyed a miniature toy building, and now there's a robot and a monster.
The explanation in this movie is like Mr. Satan trying to explain why he's thrown out of the Cell Games ring. Magnets! That makes sense.
There was
it's a trick.
I also that's perfect. I also loved how the giant monster toy looked exactly like the monster, and the robot looked nothing like the robot toy.
I noticed that. Yeah,
that was hilarious. But go ahead.
I just think the movie would have been better if they hadn't have even tried to explain it. They should have just played it like the birds. And you don't know why the birds are doing the thing they're doing. Or maybe it was
just kind of like it was meant to be like an act of God sort of deal.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it kind of still feels that way. Even they don't explain it. It's mostly that they just show the act of God.
Uh-huh.
And we don't know if it is God, if it's aliens, if it's some sort of interdimensional being.
I don't think it's supposed to be. I just think it's supposed to be the universe going, these two people need this kind of thing, and I'm like, all right.
Did this happen on an Indian burial ground? Like, what's going on? Please explain.
Yeah, I was actually hoping for like some sort of like weird government experimentation sort of deal.
I was really hoping they were going to go in that direction. I was like, I don't need this to be Stranger Things with Anne Hathaway.
That's the thing. Here's the thing. I was expecting it, but I too did not want that.
Yeah, I didn't want that
too
either.
Generic.
If you're gonna, I don't think you should have explained it. First of all, like I've already said, I think you should have just left it ambiguous. But if you're going to explain it, then you better well fucking explain it. Shit or get off the pot. Fucking make something that makes even remotely some sense. Either go all the way and explain the fuck out of it, or don't explain it at all.
But do you think it would have taken focus away from the human drama?
Exactly, which is why ultimately I'm advocating for not explaining it, but I'm saying that it pisses me off even more because they did this mamby-pamby bullshit where they like half explained it, and we're like, that works, I guess, and then we're all just supposed to be left scratching our heads like, I guess.
Literal magic lightning in the bottle.
Exactly.
I wonder if they were going to do it, they definitely would have had to integrate it more with the human story then. They would have had to have... Maybe they would have had something that would have happened to Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis when they were kids, an experiment, some kind of mystical intervention, some kind of divine intervention, whatever. And then they had their memories erased, and then through the drinking or the lack of drinking and experiences in the movie, they would remember it. That's what I thought they were going to do, which... I don't know. I guess I would have been fine with that.
Kind of did that, where she slowly starts to remember over time.
Yeah, but again, we don't really understand what those memories mean. So, who knows? But I'm with you guys. I was advocating for no explanation. But David, again, we've been mostly positive. So why don't you talk about some of the problems you had?
Actually, now that I've had the chance to listen to the pros and cons from other people besides myself. Because after I watched the film, I went home and I read a review. Well, it was more of an analysis than a review, just so I can understand it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And after listening to you guys, I kind of those issues that I initially had with it kind of went away, because this is not the Hollywood blockbuster action film like Pacific Rim.
No,
not at all.
It's a psychological drama.
We see actual people. We see people slap each other around and grab each other, not a robot punching a giant monster through a building. That's all implied.
The other important thing to remember, and I'm saying this not just to Dave, but to anybody listening to this who maybe hasn't seen the movie yet and is thinking about it, trying to debate whether they want to give it a shot. First of all, do. But the important distinction that you need to make, and I said this much when I wrote kind of a small text review of it on Facebook, this is not a giant monster movie. This is a movie that features a giant monster. It is not about giant monsters. It is about people who just happen to be giant monsters in a weird
deal
way.
with giant monsters.
This is just a thing that happens in the midst of all of it, yeah. Which is what I like about it. We were talking about Signs before we started recording. That's what I like about Signs, is that it's like, oh my god, there's aliens. Oh, but we're living our lives here. Like that's what I like about Signs, and that's what I like about this movie.
Mm-hmm. I think the movie does a lot better than Signs, but yeah.
I completely agree with you. There was some brutal physical action though on Jason Sudeikis. Like Anne Hathaway drops a fucking bookcase on him, and fucking...
there's actually a genre that anybody who's taken a literature class knows about, called magical realism, where it's pretty much just that idea. Like it's just like a real world scenario, except like there's one magical element. That's what this movie is.
I love shit like that.
Like there was an example that I read during my time as a student, the story about like a guy with wings who like fell into this village, and like it was basically about how people reacted to him. Like, oh, is he an angel? What the fuck? Like it's that kind of a deal. If you're going into this movie expecting a monster movie in like the traditional Godzilla them sense, you're going to be disappointed, which is why I'm saying to you, don't go in expecting that. Go in expecting a really neat sort of experiment on film.
Because monster destruction in this movie, the implications of that, you don't want to see that.
Exactly. Playing with the idea of plopping giant monsters into other types of movies, which I think is great. I would love to see more people experiment with this shit. We've had giant monsters for so long in movies. I think it's about time that we start playing around with the ideas.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm totally with you. That's why I was so excited about this and why I'm happy it turned out so well.
The marketing did remind me of a particular movie. Are you guys, any of you familiar with a Will Ferrell movie called, I think it was called Stranger Than Fiction?
No.
Oh yeah,
I've heard of
it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailers.
I actually saw that movie in theaters, and I remember I was very shocked by how different of a movie it was than what the than the kind of movie that was advertised. Because it starred Will Ferrell, it was kind of advertised as kind of like the weird, like over the top, zany, wacky movie of Will Ferrell hearing a narrator voicing all his actions, but really it was more of a down to earth kind of character piece that focused on a writer dealing with writer's block, and for some weird, unexplained, magical reason, whatever she writes happens to coincide with what's happening in Will Ferrell's character's life. And when he eventually learns that this voice he keeps hearing is a real person, he and she eventually meet each other, and so they don't know what to do next. They're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? Do I continue doing my life? Are you going to continue writing my life? What's going to happen here? And she's like, oh, I want to tell the best story. Oh, I want you to tell the best story. But it's like, for this story, I would have to do something very drastic to you. And I don't want to do that. And so there's a whole lot of interesting conflict arises once they meet each other. Is
she writing it before it happens to him, or is he doing it right before she writes it?
It's happening at the same time.
That's the difficult thing, because then that would help in the decision.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to give that a watch. That sounds interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a movie like that out there.
So she could write on her piece of paper, and then his penis grew 3 sizes that day, and he would just fucking...
I guess so,
but the question is, like, would she write that though? I think that's the thing here, is that it seems like as people they've just lined up in this sense of intellectually of like, oh, we're these two kind of people, so we're gonna our lives are gonna align in this weird way. It seems more of like a cosmic coincidence than like some weird control thing.
But at the same time, he can actually hear her voice narrating in his head.
So
he's the only one that
is
can hear
like
that
some
voice.
kind of weird divine part of it.
Exactly, just like with Colossal, and it never explained why. It's just that's not the focus of the movie. The focus is on real people reacting to a very unrealistic occurrence.
Its purpose is entirely artistic, to evoke emotions. You know, you see the giant monster do stuff because for visual reference, it creates a certain reaction in your head that's necessary for the film's purpose. And that's what it's there for, and that's why it works so well. And I don't think it needs to be anything more than that. This idea that the movie has to somehow change the rules of what you have to do when you're playing in another genre sandbox, like just because it's a giant monster thing, I think is ridiculous. They make the concept work for their own ends. It doesn't require the knowledge or satisfaction of any other franchise or whatever. It's just, or the fandom at large. It uses the giant monster aesthetic for its own ends, and it's very successful at it, I think, and that's all that matters.
The movie is quite literally two characters playing around in the tokusatsu sandbox.
And I think maybe on one level you can argue that the contradiction between the battle between the monster fandom is represented over this movie is represented by the two sides of the bar of Jason Sudeikis' bar. You've got the clean, sterilized part that's very modern, and then you've got the old-timey themed Western part, the debate between the people talking and the story and the monsters punching each other, like that's that's the debate. This is people talking, and it's got monsters occasionally waving their hands around to give that some real oomph, and it gives it some real oomph. I think that and that big firework that also gives it some real oomph.
The real question is, which bar would you rather drink in?
Probably the Wild West theme one. I mean,
really?
where do they hang out? In
a private room, I think.
They hang out in the Wild West bar, though, don't they? Because that's the private room at one point. It's closed off.
Right, because he doesn't like that part of the room. He doesn't like that Western theme.
Oh, well, I would rather drink there, yeah. My dream now is to open up a Western themed bar called Western Digs. It's from the last DFOS episode, anyway.
Is it? I don't remember that at all.
Keep that name in mind, Bill.
I'm gonna open up a bar one day. Just you wait, David. But what else did you? What are the problems that you have that have been resolved though? I want to know.
Well, now that I think about it, I don't think I have that much issues with the movie because I did like it. I really loved that it was different. But the one thing that irks me is that Jason Sudeikis' transformation was kind of random. At least to me, it was. Because I mean, now I realize there were subtleties that I did not notice because I only seen this movie once. If I see a second time, I literally
just watched it like 2 hours ago. So yeah.
Oh, lucky you, motherfucker. If I see it a second time, I probably might like it even more. And any issues I have with it might go away because I'll see it in a different light than I did the first time. Because I went completely with the mentality of thinking that this was a comedy based on the marketing when I first saw this movie. And, afterwards I was like, oh, this wasn't what they promoted. Good, I liked that it wasn't a comedy.
I think the trailer people just looked at the footage they were given and they were like, oh, Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, wacky giant monster movie. And they slapped the trailer together with that mentality.
Yeah, the tagline of the movie was Anne Hathaway gives a colossal middle finger to the haters, and I'm like, that doesn't reflect the movie at all.
The great thing about this movie, I think you were talking about giving it a rewatch, David, is I think it's very rewatchable, especially for like an indie movie. You think of indie movies as being like these weird artistic things that you would only watch every so often. This I could see and pop it in anytime. I mean,
This strikes me as more of the indie thing for me then, because I will only probably pop this in every so often if compelled.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would totally. It feels like one of those movies where you'll notice a lot of subtle hints and references to the characters and their world through multiple viewings. So I would definitely want to revisit this again and again.
Definitely, because you get bits and pieces of what's actually going on earlier. You do get bits and pieces of flashbacks throughout the movie. So I think that's definitely the case. But it's also kind of it's very drawn out to me. It takes a while to get going. And that's the thing that I think that held it back for me. It's good. I really like it a lot. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year or anything. But I really enjoyed it. But again, I think it's a little drawn out. I think that it needed a little more. I was gonna say a little more sizzle, not so much burn. But it needs a little less of both, maybe. It's not even that and it's like I said earlier, it's not even that anything should be cut out. I just feel like, again, there needs to be more of a specific goal earlier on. It feels a little meandery. But, again, it's kind of artistic movies in general, and this definitely fits better into that. As a character piece, it's sort of supposed to just be, well, this is the character walking around this world they live in. But again, I think that's just why I won't pop it in super often. But, well, what did you guys think of the effects overall? I mean, we are talking about a giant monster movie here. This is us discussing that genre, so I guess we should talk about that briefly.
I think we already mentioned that they were very suitable.
You can pick it here and there, but I mean, based on the budget they have, it's really impressive.
Yeah,
especially the ending.
Yes.
The last time you see the monster.
Yes.
That looked fucking
Although,
beautiful.
is it me or did the colossal monster itself look a lot smaller?
In that scene?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would have to agree
Because
now that I'm
both
thinking
his
about
feet,
it.
you see, the last shot, you see 2 footprints in the sandbox.
I would have to
However,
agree.
during the scenes earlier on in the movie when we see the monster and soul, do we ever see it like interacting with the building? So do we ever get a good idea?
He walks through buildings, and you can
Yeah,
see
you
his
do.
feet are like way bigger than cars.
It
That's true, the
looks
first
to
time.
be
Okay.
like Showa Godzilla-sized.
Well, we don't know how big the buildings are in Seoul.
Yeah,
For all
I
we
mean-
don't know if they're at like the 50-meter scale or if they're at like the 100-meter scale.
Right.
True, that's true.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me. Now that you mention it, maybe.
It was just a weird
yeah.
inconsistency it was just a weird inconsistency. I'm pretty sure the filmmakers did that just to keep the monster from looking too big in that tiny environment, as opposed to Seoul where it's a much bigger environment, so we have to make the monsters bigger there.
Well, we also have the issue of making it interact with a tiny human, so it has to be able to directly look at him and do some stuff with him.
Right.
But
It was all
that
for a narrative purpose.
I thought the wide shots were all really impressive. When you get close up on it in the day shots towards the end, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's
It's to be
really,
expected.
It's really solid for the budget they had, and it totally works for what they're trying to do. But I mean, some of the shots I was like, that looks as good as Godzilla 2014. Like
I was going to say that in some cases,
shots,
in some cases, it might look better than Godzilla 2014, considering
I
how
thought so
often
too. Yeah.
Considering how often they kept obscuring Godzilla in that damn movie.
Well, this has that inherently because of the way you see it most of the time. But yeah, man, when you get a good look at it, it looks so good. I'm like, that looks more like a thing that's actually in the real world than the CG. And in not just Godzilla 2014, a lot of modern monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like maybe around the same level as like the Kong Skull Island CG. Like, I mean, there's a lot less of it, but I mean, especially that last shot when you see of the monster when it's in the small town and it's in daylight, so you finally get to get like a good rendered look at it.
Yeah,
like it's so freaking beautiful in that scene. I mean, it definitely blows, I think, like Pac Rim out of the water.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the Kong Skull Island is a good point of comparison. That movie is probably the pillar of modern, monster CG.
Yeah, I think Kong Skull Island is probably the best monster CG that we've gotten so far.
Yeah. I wonder if that...
but-
I think that fight with the Skullcrawler at the end has probably outdone the V-Rex fight from 2005 in terms of, like, this is, like, the best-looking modern monster fight.
No,
Yeah.
I'm speaking specifically about kaiju movies, of course. Like there are non-kaiju like CG monsters that have looked as good before. I mean, a lot of people forget
Let's not forget Creech from Monster Trucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that piece.
To
A lot of people
me,
forget
Hulk in Age of Ultron looks amazing. So that's one. There's a modern monster for you.
I'll tell you one that I always forget, and I think a lot of people forget, just how fucking good wise Jurassic Park 3 actually looked.
Yeah, most of the time. Most
That
of
was
the
like
time.
that was like the last hurrah for like the integration of CG and animatronics.
And even then, it's not as good as the first movie still.
Yeah,
I don't
true.
understand why Jurassic World looks so bad, but
It doesn't look bad. It looks like a modern movie.
in comparison.
Yes, because they don't have the mix. They have designed the sequel apparently with that in mind, with the idea to do more of a blend. So that's good.
Good, because especially the Raptors in that last movie, man, holy shit.
Yes, I will agree with you, although there are moments where they look better than some of the other stuff. I think the Indominus Rex looks the best out of all of them inherently, but the T-Rex also towards the end, I was a little disappointed with how that looked, but you know.
Yeah.
They kept them a lot in the shadows.
Well, that and there's no practical T-Rex in the movie, and I'm like, well, that's problematic, son. That was sort of big.
They had practical goat T-Rex food.
You know what it kind of looked like to me? It kind of looked like the way the T-Rex looks in like the Jurassic Park like builder mobile game.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair.
Looking like that.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go to final recommendations for Colossal? I know we've all kind of given our glowing positive reactions, but why don't we wrap up since there's not much else to dig our teeth into here. So, I mean, obviously it's a limited theatrical release, but DVD and streaming will probably be coming sooner rather than later. So, is this a thing that's worth spending money on, do you think?
Hell yeah.
I intend to get a copy when I have money and there's a copy available.
David, you're the one who was reserved.
He's BRB.
Oh.
I am still here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, great.
I wouldn't exactly spend money for it. Like, I wouldn't pick up the Blu-ray when it's out.
I wouldn't exactly.
How dare you not agree with us?
I wouldn't exactly spend money.
Charlatan.
I would steal it from a child, but I wouldn't spend money.
I mean, if I want to see it,
money.
then I'll just rip it from a torrent. Because, I mean, I liked it, but I didn't feel like it was a movie that, like, I would pick up when it's on Blu-ray. I would spend, like, $24 on it on Amazon Prime.
I feel you. I'll pay for it when I feel the need to revisit it again and it's available. That's what I'll do. I'll probably stream it, rent it, whatever. I really liked it. I don't know when I'll feel the need to revisit it, but I got a lot out of it with that first viewing experience. It's a very interesting movie. It's very compelling as to how it portrays a small group of characters with a very bizarre, cool, kitschy idea. And I think that alone makes it giving it a watch. Makes it worth giving it a watch. Also, everybody's so good in it. It's just nice to see these big actors acting like really normal people, not in a big, dressy, glossy Hollywood movie. It's nice to see them just walking around a small town, just talking like real people. The script also is not always perfect. There is some moments where I'm like, that's a weird line.
Well, it was written and directed by an Italian filmmakers, and
particularly from Jason Sudeikis. Like, I was like, that's a weird thing to say. Oh, and there was one line from Anne Hathaway where she was like,
he's a weird guy though.
No, obviously, but
from what I heard, the director is a very eccentric.
But also there was that line where Anne Hathaway was like, you know what? That's the thing. They never introduce you to the good looking ones, and I'm like, what the? That's a weird way to come on to somebody.
So if someone said that to you, you'd be like, what the fuck?
I would be like, you immediately just made everybody else in this room hate me, so thanks. Even if they didn't hear that, the fact that even though they totally would, like, whenever you see a girl stick around with a dude alone, you always look back and you go, oh, what's about to happen there? So they both totally.
That kind of happened at last year's G-Fest, if you know what I mean.
Oh wow! All right,
yeah. I know what you mean.
Anyway, anyway, I would have to say Colossal is better than Ghostbusters 2.
I mean,
Sweet.
I understand why a lot of people had reservations about the movie, but please, I'm telling you, give it a shot. Go out there, support fucking originality in cinema,
And indie filmmakers.
and just see this movie in some fashion whenever it becomes available for you to do so. Internet, just go watch it, man. Fucking.
And I feel like maybe because it has a limited release now, I feel like perhaps maybe later down the line, this is the movie that can potentially form a bit of a cult following afterwards.
Hopefully.
And could be remembered as like one of these like these like underrated gems of fiction, like underrated gems of cinema history.
Hopefully it's remembered better than Power Rangers. That's all I hope.
Hopefully. In fact, I'm going to look at Box Office Mojo and see how much Colossal has made.
It probably didn't do as well, but it will
like
definitely
budget-wise, like
Oh, well, yeah, in those terms, maybe it did, yeah.
Like the ratio-wise.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it'll definitely be remembered more fondly, and maybe by more people. Interestingly.
Okay. So it was. Let's see.
On the ground floor of like the next big indie underground sensation in movies. Andres, it's never happened to me before. I didn't get in on the ground floor of like the fucking Troll 2s or the fucking Blade Runners back in the day. Do I get to type first? Is that what's happening here?
Maybe this will be remembered as as the movie that nobody saw, but then later came to be seen as a classic later down the line. And you could say, I saw it first I was there in the trenches.
I did not see it first. I saw it last out of all of us, so I can't say that.
In a necessary sequel, and I'll be like, I don't want that, but then Ryan Gosling will be in it, and I'll see a trailer, and I'll be like, maybe.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on in that new Blade Runner movie, but it looks amazing.
So it's only made $3 million for its total gross because it was barely released at all there was no foreign gross. It was like Canada, America, and that's pretty much it.
It was at a shit theater near me for a week, so I mean, I
guess it's to be expected. Like 15 million and only made 3 million, roughly 3 million back. So I guess these people knew what they were going in. I guess that's why they had like a very limited cast, limited budget, limited effects. So it's like, we just want to do this. Maybe it's one of those projects where it's like, we want to do this simply because we want to make a movie like this. We're not in it for sequels. We're not in it for merchandising. We just want to make a damn good movie.
And they did it.
They did it. Yes, they did it. They didn't have a studio breathing down their necks, telling them to do this or do that or appeal to this demographic or appeal to this country here. It's just, with complete independent freedom, they made the movie they wanted. They released it as best as they could, and God bless them for it.
Totally. Well, all right. I think that about sums it up then. So that is our review of Colossal, and that is mostly it for this week's episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast. Does anybody else have any problems that they have to address before we say goodnight?
Yes, I do. Bill, I'm still waiting on that 401k you promised.
You're going to have to take that up with my lawyer if you ever get your own lawyer to go up against my lawyer. So,
you can afford a lawyer?
No,
No,
no.
You see, you two have magical lawyers that appear at like 8:30 in the morning when you two have to meet at the sandbox so that your lawyers can duke it out in China or whatever.
Exactly, in China. Exactly.
China.
I just pictured like a giant Matlock fighting a giant like Perry Mason in the middle of Hong Kong.
Oh, I want Matt Murdock to represent me, son.
Well, Matt Murdock versus Perry Mason.
Devil of Hell's son.
Well, since
what
Bill
if
wants to be
David's lawyer?
You be Perry Mason?
But what if David's lawyer turns out to be Jennifer Banner? Then what do you do?
Oh shit.
Well, I guess I'll probably just get out of the sandbox then. It'll be very simple.
If you can't take the heat, get out of the sandbox.
Exactly. And that's how you should feel about this podcast as well. If you can't take the heat, pull the headphones out. So,
I really want a movie at some point that's just a legal drama with those two people on opposing sides of a case.
I'm in. All right. So I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Next time I'm gonna definitely bring back some cryptid stuff. Next time we're gonna do the Mothman, kids. I promise. That's the plan. We're gonna do the Mothman. I'm so excited. It's gonna be crazy. We're gonna talk a lot.
Spoiler alert! It was just a barn owl.
We're gonna talk a lot about how conspiracy theorists are nuts and why the government is unnecessarily shady because they're mostly just idiots and they try to make people think they're not idiots. Anyway,
just like that episode of South Park.
Are we gonna capture the Mothman, Bill? All we need is a really big porch light.
Yeah,
Bill,
I was hoping we could use your porch.
Bill, are we gonna bring Richard Gere into this?
Richard Gere will be a guest, and by guest I mean I will kidnap him and torture him on air, and we will ask him questions about the Mothman prophecies. And then when we play fucked up Mothman sightings, he will play, and he will. And if he gets it wrong, he'll be killed on air. It'll be our greatest episode ever.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. All right. No other podcast will be able to do it like us. Okay.
Bill's gonna lock Richard Gere in the same dungeon that he has Josh Brolin in.
I had to let Josh Brolin out though because I'm really excited about Deadpool 2. And Avengers: Infinity War. So, kind of have my hands tied.
But after he does those, you're going to put him back in there. I mean,
obviously. Well, I don't know. I have to see what happens with Thanos at the end of Infinity War 1, because if he's needed for 2, then I got to let him go, you know?
But then he's going to be like, I think I'm going to go do a sequel to W, and you're going to be like, get back in the box.
Yeah, fuck that movie. Anyway, so until next time, everyone, I'm Bill Worcester, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm Gorzard, and I'm still waiting on that 401k.
I'm Super DM64, and I'm more worried about the dental, honestly.
And I'm Andres Perez, and I'm more worried about the state of my legs at this point because I don't think I'm going to get any health care to cover the injury I'm currently experiencing right now.